Let me see. Come on. We are live, more or less, from Las Vegas. With Mark Anthony, I'm Rick Rosen. This is Good Sports. Morning, Mark. What's happening on this beautiful, bit cloudy Thursday day?
Recovering from the 112-degree wind yesterday. Holy cow.
it's like that wind. I don't know if anybody does the blow dryer factor that they make a big deal out of it. You're from Minnesota. You hear the International Falls. It was minus 104 degrees.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Why would you be out? Once it hits zero, once it hits 10 degrees above zero, why don't go out unless you need to? You live up there. You're used to it. Don't go out. When it's 110 here, I don't go out. I sit here and the air conditioning is blowing right under my desk here, which is really, really something I have discovered. In my situation, Mark, an STD is tennis elbow. Or carpal tunnel syndrome.
Oh, God, is there a joke sitting there?
It's an arm issue.
God, is there a joke sitting there?
Oh, yeah, really? Oh, yeah. Well, go ahead. We're on the internet.
It's under your desk, and things seem to come out from under your desk that I don't want to explain to people. So,
that's all right. We'll show them now and again. It's not as dangerous as it once was. So, to be in the desk, I just kind of.
Okay, let's go back to sports. Okay.
Back to what were we ever on sports? This weekend we get NFL football again, and it is until February we have the Super Bowl. And then there's not a week going to go by without an NFL game from now until February. Okay? You do the math. We just had February. It was right back there, not very far away. So year-round football creates problems in and of itself, Mark. And injuries are always an issue. When things start, for whatever reason, it always seems like there's one group that is under a black cloud injury-wise. And this year, so far, it looks like it might very well be the wide receivers. And these guys are kind of dropping like flies. Deshaun Jackson for the Redskins hurt his shoulder, separated his shoulder, will be out a couple weeks. Now, that's good. Okay, you only have to miss a couple weeks. But it changes a guy's attitude. It changes a guy's abilities in some cases because they have to protect that shoulder. They don't want it to happen twice. And if there's ever a good time for it to happen, it would be after you lose your last game or before you do anything where you have enough time to recover or whatever. But these kind of things just seem to occur in groups. Michael Floyd has a knee injury, and it started out as he hurt himself, and that now it's one of those things where he's going to be out at least a couple of weeks. Well, they don't want to let you miss a couple of weeks of training camp. They don't have to. So these injuries always seem to occur in bunches for whatever reason. Sometimes it's the offensive line. Everybody's right tackle will go down at one time, and sometimes it's the quarterbacks, and sometimes it's linebackers. Yeah, it just takes football takes a pretty good toll on people's bodies if you play long enough anyway. So we'll see. It's going to affect a lot of things, Mark. It is one of those. There's so many variables in football. In horse racing, when people go to bet on horse racing, Mark, the biggest field that they ever have that I know of, maybe in the Epsom Downs in England, they have more, but is the 20 horses that run in the Kentucky Derby. And how asinine it is to think that you can handicap that race for all the horses. You might pick one American Pharoah this year. That wasn't that tough to handicap. That horse had shown itself on and on and on, but the rest of them, there was a whole bunch that were very similar. And when you have that many people, that many things involved in something, it just exponentially gets more difficult to handicap what the hell's going to happen. On a football team, if one guy screws up, it blows. Everybody else can be perfect, and the one guy screw up. Well, when you have 22 guys and 6 or 7 referees and instant replay people, and coaches, and it's just a very, very difficult thing to say. Yeah, you can't handicap correctly. It's damn near impossible. If you, Mark, do you bet much?
No. Nah.
I think, isn't it funny where it's almost like the legalization of weed? Now they kind of took the fun out of it.
They took the fun out of it, exactly.
You were always kind of tap dancing in the minefield when you were, when I was a kid, when you were smoking weed, you were always, oh shit, there's Johnny Law. Yeah. I mean, it was just one of those things. You worried about that. No, it's a cab. No, you would see lights on top of a vehicle. You puckered up right quick. Now they've totally and completely in Colorado. Everybody's just like, yeah, so they're finding other way. It's not like they'll figure out something. But anyhow, with football season right around the corner, Mark, one of the points that I think we need to make is how you bet is equally as important as what you bet. If you're not betting correctly, you have no chance of showing a profit at the end of the year. And I don't care what anybody says, you can't pick games with that many variables at a rate that does not give the house an advantage, because they're not paying straight up odds. In other words, they don't take $10 on the Raiders and $10 on the Broncos and pay the winner to $20. That ain't how it works.
No.
That cut takes away any mathematical advantage and gives it to the people that hold all they are is money holders. Every once in a while they're involved in a bet, but not very often. They get it close enough where they're within that percentage. And okay, today we made 6%, and yesterday we made 4.5%, and it averages out, and they get their percentage. They hold that vigorish, and it works out. So the trick is to take advantage of where they have loopholes or where they have weaknesses. Just as in any sporting event we bet on teams that do that. So here's how that goes, Mark. If you wager a parlay, 2 individual things have to occur for you to get paid. If only one of them goes, you're SOL. So you can go on a 3-team parlay, and you take 2 early games, and you take 1 late game. You separate them, and this works particularly well in Las Vegas because the casinos and the race and sports books are open 24/7, particularly during football season. So now with the internet and all that, when you separate your start times and finish times, when there gives you enough time, when you hit the first 2, you can bet back that 3rd game enough to give you an absolute, I can't do any worse than break dead even shot at it. So you only have to hit 2 out of 3 to not lose. Not losing is good. If you hit that 3rd one, you win. And your percentage, you take that percentage back in not losing much more than you make by just winging it and saying, oh, screw it. I won the first 2. I sure hope I hit that 3rd one. And it is I credit my friend Duke Knox, God rest him, who was a former Navy man, a retired Navy chief, and a hell of a guy. We ran a tout service, and he was the straightest shooter. Didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground about sports, but he knew how to tell people how to bet, and we showed a profit, and it opened my eyes, Mark, to, oh my God, you don't have to be an expert, because there is no such thing. Nobody knows what every running back is feeling, who's fighting with whose old lady, who's, nobody knows all those factors for all those people. In a fight, you might know Floyd's not getting along well with Mrs. Floyd. Oh, darn. Okay, that might affect him. Manny Pacquiao's ex took half his money last week. Oh, my, that might affect him. But when you have all the people that are involved in football, it is a damn near impossibility to handicap and handicap at a rate that actually overcomes the vigorish that you do you follow what I mean on
Yeah.
percentage
Well,
wise?
yeah. I
You have
mean,
to hit a 57% rate, which is tough to do. Keep track.
what?
Go against the spread. At 57%, it's very difficult to do.
Well, it's like on our website, goodsportsmedia.com. I kept up that video that we had for Johnny Arvilio at Win.
Johnny Avello, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and that's why I did it, because he explains it so simply. It's basically math. I mean, you don't need to know who the teams are. You just need to know what the advantages are and what the disadvantages are.
That's right. But Mark, you can do this. That's what Johnny was trying to say. You can do that to bet. There's only two things. There's only two teams. So you got a 50-50 shot with the coin. Okay? You that's all it is. The time you walk up, the line hasn't changed. Here it is. And you say, I don't know, favorite or underdog, flippy coin. Yep. So there it is. Heads is favorite, then that's what you take. You have just as good a chance. When you
Now,
do that and you bet parlays, which pay multipliers, they pay more than, you get to a certain point. But when you're alive in a parlay, as long as you've played it correctly and you have 4-game parlays, 14 parlays, you bet 3-1. That's all it is. And that's why Monday Night Football gave an edge to wise guys, to gamblers who, before computers and online gaming and stuff like that, Mark, guys used to search for a line difference to find. If somebody was at 7, and say Caesar's Palace had their line at 7 on the Raiders, and Bally's had the line at 6, guys would bet both sides and have that middle.
hmm
If the line was, if there was a way to hit in and own that middle, they got an advantage, and guys used to make a living, or at least to try to make a living, doing that, just searching all over for a middle on a bet. You can't do that anymore because everybody knows. Everybody's line is up online. You used to pass the line. You would talk into your phone like this. Okay, man, the line on the bucket.
yeah.
You just couldn't you just couldn't mention it. And God forbid you had a phone. I have seen people go out in handcuffs from having their cell phones in a racing sports book before. And the law changed, and all of a sudden we were at Mandalay Bay when the law changed, and it let that information get just shared immediately. So it took a real big advantage. One of the few advantages that gamblers had was able to shop a line. Now you can't do that. They're all so generic. It's like airplane tickets and price of gasoline and all that. There's not a whole hell of a lot of competition out there. Certainly not enough to make a appreciable difference. So anyway, we're going to take a break here. You are listening to Good Sports. I'm Rick Rosen with Mark Anthony. We'll be right back after these brief commercial messages.
Now we need to get a commercial.
Yeah, well, we'll get one. We'll cut one. All right.
Okay.
Clay and I are doing one on Legal Shield. All right.
Okay. All right.
We're back. Here it is, a wonderful Thursday afternoon here in beautiful Las Vegas. Man, if you haven't been here to Las Vegas, folks, you're missing out. Safety's always an issue, Mark, in Las Vegas, and they're having the thing about the fire at the Cosmopolitan. Boy, you talk about going over something with a fine-tooth comb to figure out what went wrong, and it ain't going to happen again here in Las Vegas. I'll tell you that much. Nothing bad. It was material stuff. It was crap. It was plastic frickin' palm trees, and it made in front of the public and whatever. But if you look at it, nobody was hurt. Nobody died in that fire. Imagine if that fire happened in any other big municipality. You're from Minnesota. Imagine that in downtown Minneapolis.
Yes.
The absolute That happened on the Las Vegas Strip, and it disrupted traffic for a little bit. And nobody died, and the firemen, God bless them, they got they got lucky, but they were prepared to carry that crap up there to fight that fire, which was burning intensely and putting off very noxious fumes. And they were lucky they got to go up in the elevator. Man,
Well, that's
excuse
because
us.
they were right
No,
under
no.
it. They were right under it. The fire,
Yeah, but
the the firehouse is
right.
under the
And
Cosmo.
isn't that wonderful planning? Everybody bitches about government and whatever, but isn't that damn good planning? Guess what? Where's the biggest number of people? Right there in that big ass hotel, and the ones on either side, the one across the street. There's a great deal of people there. Why don't we put the fire department there? Hey, okay, let's work it out. And that's what we do in Las Vegas. That's what we have working for us. And people give them a hard time and talk about them sometimes, but you're talking about Democrats and Republicans working together and got it done, Mark. Nobody took that. I mean, there's always politics simply because people have to run for office. And you can't just say, here's the good crap that I've done. Look at it, check it out. You have to say, here's the good crap that I've done, and I screwed up. He was a child molester in a former life. I mean, they say anything and everything, and so, but here in Las Vegas, the politics for the most part peaceful enough, and that we get things done. And we had a fire department in the basement, in the downstairs. Come on up, bring we're. And it's a wonder some of the people on the strip weren't out there. They didn't run to Walgreens right next door or whatever and grab some marshmallows and some hot dogs and start selling them to tourists too.
Well, here's a funny thing. I don't know if they still do it, but back when I was chauffeuring, in the summertime, the fire department would do an exercise, and it would never be publicized, but everybody knew it. The firefighters would run up the Stratosphere Tower. Okay,
Oh
they
yeah.
they would run up that center tower, full gear, all their packs, all their hoses. Mid July, 110 degrees outside. They would go into that cement. They'll run all the way to the top, turn around and run all the way down. For whatever reason, firefighters and women, man, down at the base there, that would be just surrounded by women waiting for the firefighters to come out, all sweaty, all dripping with wet, and some of them would, of course, have to take off their tops. So, and I'm talking both firefighters and spectators. So, Vegas makes a sport out of just about everything.
Oh, absolutely. Did you say they was carrying their hose up there?
Their hose.
Their hose. Well,
Yeah,
that is an extra.
108 stories, baby.
That- wow, that's a long way to carry a hoe. I'll tell you that right now.
They're
That's a
hung. They're Vegas firefighters. They're hung. Okay, come on.
that you know as important as that may be in some instances, I don't believe how well endowed you are really gives you much of an advantage in carrying the hooker up 108 stories. Holy cow. Anyway.
Ask
Oh,
Mary who she wants to be saved by, you or a Vegas firefighter. Okay, that'll answer
wait,
it.
wait a minute. Now you have gone off into the deep end. You are going to end up apologizing to her. First off, are you insinuating in any way, shape, or form that my girlfriend has some association with being a hooker? That's what
No.
we were
Where did
talking
you get
about.
that
Well, why
from?
would I ask you? Because all of a sudden you said, "Ask Mary," like she was some kind of expert on on that, and she is. I will have you know, good
She's a
sir.
woman. She's a woman. Would she
She's a,
rather be?
she is definitely a woman.
She would rather be saved
Okay.
by a hunky Vegas firefighter or a chunky sports announcer.
Listen, the bitch is an arsonist because she buys into that theory. Okay, so we're good. Uh,
Question
you know,
from
speaking of
question
that,
from the last.
go ahead.
From the, I was always told on sports betting that that the real professionals bet on the over under, not on the team. That right?
Not really, Mark.
Okay.
It's a less popular bet, so there's less movement, and when there's the point spread is more difficult, I believe, to handicap than the over and the under. You know when some team's offense, you see them building up, and you know when their offense is clicking, and it's like watching the matchups for a fight. I the outcome of a close fight's going to go, but I know how the fight itself is going to go. I don't know the final decision, win or lose, but I know that Hagler and Hearns was going to be a good fight, however long it lasted, and it ebbed and flowed and went back like that. So when you bet the over and the under, they have things. They move the line from where it figures, Mark, to where they figure the public is going to bet. People always say, well, the line makers, the bookies got it wrong. Bookies don't get it wrong. They don't give a rat's ass. They're trying to generate the equal amount of money on either side of the bet. They get paid. If they even that up, man, if they take in $1 billion on the Super Bowl and it's half a billion to one side and half a billion to the other, they're tickled because they don't have to pay out all the half a billion to the guy that put up half a billion. That's just exactly how it is. So bookies are much more reticent to move a line on an over and under anyway. So they move it beforehand, so they don't have to move it up, because then people might get a middle, might land on between. If it moves too much, say it comes, a line opens up at 47.5 for the over and under, and everybody thinks it's going to be over. All of a sudden, the running back is going for 1,000,000 yards, and the receivers can't drop a pass, and they're just going to do good against this defense who loses their linebacker, whatever it is, and they bet it up, to 48.5. When they move that, now if it lands at 48, you have the middle, and so the bookies can get beat from both sides, and then they are in a deal, and so that's when they get caught. So they don't like to move the line, and they're much more reticent to move it because on the line itself, on the game, there's football numbers. You score in ones, twos, threes, sixes. Those are the only points you get in football. Now you get them in combinations. So mathematically, there are some things that are more apt to hit. It's like a roulette wheel that had 17 on there twice, and didn't have 37 on there at all, because that's a tough number to come up to mathematically. I'm just using those as examples.
Yeah.
Does that make sense for you?
Yes.
There is no such thing in over. There is no such thing in over and unders. So the bookies move towards where they know the public's more bound to bet overs than they are unders. Meaning, right off the bat, if the bookie knows you're going to bet the over anyway, and it figures at 48, why would I start it at 48? You're going to move it to 48 or 49. I mean, you're going to move it to 48.5 or 49 anyway, so I make it that to start with. So the value actually is on the under. You're getting a free point. If you go to a bookie and want to buy a point, which you can do at the race and sports books, it costs you more to make your wager, or you win less. Either way, it figures out exact same mathematically. You can buy a point. They will give you the point if you'll just bet on the under. And the good thing about an under is it is always a winner in your hand until it's beaten. An over is never a winner until it's made. So you're hoping to, when you got an under, they have to take the money out of your hand for you to lose by going. But so your value, you're getting an extra point or thereabouts just on the get-go on the overs and unders. So I don't know if I answered your question, Mark, but that's the why people bet, and wise guys do bet overs and unders at a greater rate, but they also bet on the outcomes of games.
They just cover both sides. Again,
Yeah.
it's math. That's all it is just math.
As as a bookie, as a former bookie, and I was with Bobby the Owl yesterday, who had been our line mover, a guy who used to make the basketball line at the Stardust when the Stardust was the epicenter of gambling out here. And Bobby the Owl's a great guy. And we you always it's so cool to talk football with somebody that's not an X's and O's kind of football, but it's a gambling thing. We're in Las Vegas, and it is that fascinating education that you get from Bobby. And we would talk about how he absolutely hated to move the line, dude. He would rather pull his toenails out with pliers than move that frickin' line, knowing that okay, we're leaving, we're giving something back to somebody else. So in in wagering, like I say, Mark, how you wager is equally important as what you wager. People put so much. Did you bet on the Super Bowl this year or on the Kentucky Derby?
Not this year, but I did last year.
You have, okay. Neither of them make sense. You get
No,
the exact same odds on the horses because it's a pari-mutuel pool, so all that's bet is dispersed. It's like everybody sells their stock all at once and you get it back, or you buy stock all at once and so many people buy stock in companies that fold. That's the loser. That's the seven horse out there in the pasture. So anyway, it is owning stock and nothing changes there. You get the exact of the pool is dispersed to people that own tickets. So that's how they figured the odds that way. In sports gambling, nothing changes. Nothing changes. It pays 11 to 10. The 13 to 5 on the parlays, two teamer, 6 to 1. They go up. Everything is exactly the same. So where you don't have variables, you're more likely to score. You're more likely to hit. So the big thing is eliminating variables is a very good thing you can do. And when you can get your wager to be no worse than a break even. Imagine every time you've walked into a casino and you said, "Man, if I could guarantee that I would do no worse than break even and see the half the cocktail's little butt cheek as she goes by with my cold beer, I've had a great night." Think how awesome that would be. And you tell people, "Hey, listen, I can make sure you break even. Bet a three teamer. At least if you just hit two of the three, you're good. Hit them first two, I got you the third one, and I guarantee you're not going to lose any money." And people tend to neglect that, and it's one of the reasons why bookies drive new cars. And so we have a big advantage. It really is. People screw themselves. They'll bet against themselves. You know, uh, the historic thing is, like I say, Bobby didn't like to move the line, but we always knew that our wagers, our gamblers, were going to bet uh, the favorite and the over much more than they were going to bet the underdog and the under. And sitting next to Bobby and watching him do what he did, and I was very fortunate to get to learn from him how to move the line and why we do what we do. And that's what Johnny Avello was. Our friend Johnny Avello was at Bally's, and that's what he did for Lenny Del Genio and Bob Gregorka there at Bally's. And so there's a common bond there, and I can kind of talk that language with them. But we would know what parlay was they were not going to bet, and Bobby would move the line if he saw parlays coming in on a particular combination. That's when he would move, and he would move them simultaneously. We would move both the over and the team up, even though we were just, you know what I mean. You don't track what you're getting in parlays so much, Mark, as you do. Okay, we're 10,000 in the hole on Texas. We need to move Texas up. Or we need to move Texas down so we get more action on Texas to even things up. So when you move things in conjunction with one another, it's kind of a, a, a hybrid move for a bookmaker, for a line mover. But it was fascinating to watch, and that's exactly how these things work. The public bets more on the over and the favorite, so your value is on the under and the underdog from the get go. And sometimes people don't really. Well, let's take a short break. When we come back, Mark, I want to talk a little bit about how on two-team parlays in the upcoming football season, things figure to run as a quinella. So we're going to take a short break. You're listening to Good Sports. We'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty, we're back. I'm Rick Rosen with Mark Anthony. This is Good Sports. We're here in Las Vegas. Beautiful day out. When we left, Mark, I said we talk a little bit about the makeup of a two-team parlay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it is
Before,
simply
okay.
things.
Before
Go
we
ahead.
dig into that,
All right.
the atypical bettor, the general public
Yeah.
bettor that walks into the win and says, "I want to put $100 down on the Patriots," they're
Okay.
taking their thinking is okay. The other team has this injury. This has happened. This has happened. This has happened, and so I'm going to bet on the Patriots. Okay. In reality, that line is set based upon how much money is coming in. It the injury list doesn't have that much of an effect on the actual line. Correct? Am I in the right frame of thinking here?
Well, again, Mark, people give it more weight than it actually deserves, unless it's an absolute. Again, like I say today, everybody's in training camp and they're playing the game this week, and now it's when it starts counting. I'm watching. They're showing the Giants and Eli Manning back there. Well, if it's Eli Manning, yeah, it's going to change the line. If it's Jason Pierre-Paul, who's missing now one finger on his hand, then people are going to give that more weight than it deserves. There are so many other factors, including the other 21 guys out there. Is your quarterback more important than the center if your next guy can't get him the ball? You know what I mean? So different things happen in football, Mark. But injury list, I think, probably gets more weight than it deserves. Everybody's banged up. The end of the season, 16 games, 4 games in training camp, and all of training camp, and all the wear and tear that you go through in the season itself, and then practice. Some teams don't even hit in practice on when they're in the season. And so it's tough to do that many physical things over and over, physically violent things over and over and over and over, and not everybody have some kind of ache or pain, and some guys get to that level where they can't take it anymore, or something actually gives away on their body, and that puts them out for a while. So, yeah, and the next guy, that next guy in line's a pro too. That was Steve Young sitting behind Joe Montana. I mean, that was Babe Ruth that took George Halas's place with the Yankees in the outfield. So you never know. That was Tom Brady, who was the third string frickin' quarterback for the Patriots when Drew Bledsoe goes down. And I forget even who was saying next in line. And then all of a sudden, Tom Brady, here, what's your name, kid? Come here. You, the tall guy with the good-looking babe. Come here. Can you throw this? Yeah. And the rest, as they say, is history. So you never know. They put way too much emphasis on it, I think, Mark. The next guy, sometimes all they need is a chance to display their talents. And the Detroit Lions. Jeff Belknap is a huge Lions fan. They've got the Vegas Lions. You think about the running backs that have been there, and oh my God, Steve Owens. You got bad Billy Sims from Oklahoma, and all of a sudden you end up with Barry Sanders. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the Hall of Fame. That should be the greeters there saying this is our Hall of Fame, but you never know who the next guy is, and it might be somebody that just didn't get their chance because they were behind somebody great too. And so there's great guys sitting on the bench. There's great guys that have wasted an absolute career because they were on the wrong team. Free agency has afforded guys. It has worked for damn near everybody. You look at the popularity of football, and it was like the people. The sky is falling. Obama's president. The sky is falling. The stock market's going to be right there under whale crap, on the bottom of the ocean. And so some things don't occur like that. So sometimes they they think, oh, it's the end of the world if this happens or that happens. In football teams are very apt to do that. Oh dear God, we can't let this one guy go. We can't let this one thing. Yeah, you can. And free agency has given guys a chance to get themselves into a situation where they can play. Money's great. They always mention the money. Well, he's leaving $4 million on the table. Yeah, but wouldn't you give $4 million to go where you're happy? You've got 10 million or 20 million or whatever. Why do you need another 4 million? Now guys are making enough money. They are set for life. And so they get a chance to kind of pick and choose where they want to play. You look at LeBron James in basketball. By the way, Basketball USA coming in this next week, Mark, on the 11th through the 13th. The game at the Thomas and Mack 7:30 on the 13th, and it ought to be it's going to be just like the All-Star game is. There we go. You see some of these guys on Basketball USA, Mark. They're all, every last one of them is a former college All-Star if they went to college, or a high school great that's the next phenom that now come to the NBA, and then we see them just. It's not the All-Star game where it's 176 to 173 in a defensive battle.
Right.
It's these guys are out there playing basketball, and it's so amazing for us to get to watch that. You get to hang with Mike Krzyzewski, head coach Mike Krzyzewski, and the gang there, and all the coaches, and it's just this basketball thing. I mean, I feel like there's, if people really watch down from heaven, at any given time, James Naismith is looking down on that practice there at the Thomas and Mack here next week and saying, yeah, I done good. It's going to be the greatest collection of basketball talent any place on earth is going to be next week at the Thomas and Mack, 11th through the 13th, USA Basketball. And if you've never been there before, you can come in and watch these guys practice. I think they let us in, the last half hour or something like that, Mark?
Yeah.
And if you just want autographs and stuff like that, they wait at the side of the Mendenhall Center there, and between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, the practice is in at 2. Some guys get out there and get on the bus and sit there with their headsets on. Some guys play, do whatever they do inside, and make their way out and sign autographs and do the fun thing. This is a team that's pretty much going to represent us at the Olympics in Brazil, unless Mark Cuban gets his way. And, he doesn't want the pros playing anymore. And I don't know. They're going to make some resolution out of it, dude. But really a tough thing this year. Paul George goes down in a very grisly incident with USA Basketball the last time they were here, Mark. And everybody said, look at the injuries and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but look at the guys that won the championship. Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry were on the team. Look who they played against. Well, they had to get past James Harden and Houston to get there. Who was on the other side? Well, let's see. Kyrie Irving was there. Yeah, but he did get injured. Kevin Love was supposed to be there, but because of the trade and all that stuff, he did. You know what I mean? So there was some guys that I think got very, very good basketball education by playing on Basketball USA, and there's some guys that got hurt physically doing that. So I mean, do you roll the dice and take your chances? It could be a career-ending injury at any time you play. But any time these guys play at that level, there's a chance for a career-ending injury because it takes supreme athletic effort, outstanding effort to hang at that level. And sometimes they put their bodies, they do more to their bodies than their bodies can take.
But
at this, it's not like they're playing on at the Sandlot or down there in the parking lot of the church. They're playing. This is NBA on steroids, and and I do not insinuate that they're on steroids. This is
yeah, let's watch that word.
This is high def. Yeah, how about high def NBA?
There we go.
I don't know that it gets. I don't know that it gets any more basketball better than this.
But what I liked about the last one, the last Basketball USA that I attended, is to watch these guys who normally are playing against each other. It is literally just kind of like a pickup game in the warm-ups that we saw.
Yeah.
The friendships
game
that.
In heaven.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. But it was just this big pickup game with such great talent. It wasn't a rivalry. It was friendship, and they were helping each other out. It was just a really cool thing to watch them play together.
Absolutely, and watch that competitiveness come out of there. One of the
Oh
things, Mark,
yeah.
and I've been fortunate to do this for you, just like you have. We've done this for a long time, but one of the most lasting images, a couple of the things that, and I know you have the photos, but I'll make sure you get them. Derrick Rose was coming off the 2 years of knee injuries, whatever, and Steph Curry in the first 30 seconds of the first frickin' scrimmage on the first day of training camp, they dove for a loose basketball. What that means to me is, oh my God, I am seeing something incredibly special competitive wise. How much more competitive do you get than Stephen Curry and Derrick Rose diving? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I've seen it all. Then Kenneth Farid, the guy with all the dreads that plays for the Denver Nuggets, that is an absolute rebounding machine. He plays basketball hard, and he's a rising superstar. And DeMarcus Cousins, the guy that George Karl doesn't get along with, played for John Calipari. Kenneth Farid reached his hand out to DeMarcus Cousins, just to lay his hand on top of DeMarcus Cousins' shoulder to keep in contact with him down under the basket. And DeMarcus Cousins threw an elbow, Ronda Rousey cringe. Oh my God, and knocked Farid's arm off of him. And I'm looking like, wow, did he not see that was just his teammate? Did he think, And Farid now puts his just fingertips on DeMarcus Cousins' shoulder, and DeMarcus Cousins didn't like that any better. Blam! And he knocked it off again with an elbow that would have decapitated Farid if he'd hit him with it in the head. And Kenneth Farid then decided, I'm not going to put my hand on DeMarcus Cousins' shoulder anymore. The play went on, and I never saw it happen again. But you're talking about these are teammates. These are guys that haven't been in the league long enough, haven't been playing basketball against one another long enough to develop that kind of hatred. I mean, it was amazing to see, Mark. It always is amazing. And you see the guys working out.
Yes.
Afterwards, we stuck around and saw Kevin Durant and James Harden and Paul George playing one-on-one basketball. You said about a pickup game. It don't get no more pickup awesome than that.
And then,
who else would you have in there? Michael Jordan and Dr. J and
then to
LeBron
watch
James.
them, and then to watch them interact with each other, because they've known each other since high school days, basically. And again, going back to that pickup mentality, I mean, they were talking smack about each other, which is just absolutely hilarious. Watching these multi-million-dollar professional players talk bad about the other player's mama. I mean, and everyone just laughing about it.
Yeah.
Still getting
good.
And,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, they were playing this one-on-one winner stays basketball, three-man basketball one-on-one winner stays. And Kevin Durant, I got to tell you, I don't know. I find it difficult to believe there's ever been a package of basketball player as unique as Kevin Durant. He is so long and gangly. Reminds me of a daddy long legs. And his steps are so quick for a man that big to get by bigger people that they put on him defensively. That's no problem for him at all. He just smokes them. And when there's a smaller guy on him, he has such a devastating shooting range of 15 to 18 feet that they have no chance of doing anything but fouling him, and he doesn't scare. The ball is much above anybody that's quick enough to stay with him speed-wise. And it's amazing to watch how dominant he could be. And then James Harden, who plays basketball about as well as a guard can play basketball, now with Houston, who just absolutely did everything he could do defensively to keep Kevin Durant outside. At least maybe he'll miss the jumper, because he doesn't miss those where he sticks his arm through the basket before he releases the ball. So you want to force him to take jumpers, but he's just so deadly. And then you think about Paul George and Kevin Durant, when it was Harden's turn with the ball, He drove, and Kevin Durant fouled him, but blocked the shot, and actually blocked the shot before the foul. I'm not sure whether it. I don't think it would have been called a foul in the NBA, but playground wise, I don't think it had any effect. I think he blocked the ball before he made the foul. He was going to block it anyhow. So anyhow, he says that wasn't shit. And as Harden walked by, and Harden said something back and forth to him. So as Harden walked by the end line, I said I thought it was shit. Just like that. And Harden turned and laughed, and he said, "Yeah, man, he thought it was shit." And it was just, you're right, Mark, and it was so much fun to join into that conversation, to join into that little bit of, I did not have to do anything to Kevin Durant. I got to talk trash to him on a basketball court, so it was cool. But yeah, if you like.
I mean, both of us are under 8 feet tall, and these guys are like 8'10". To see these giants.
Those are the guards. Yeah.
God. But for the fans, this is about as close as they can get to them in a
oh my goodness
in a relaxed atmosphere. So it's really cool for fans to show up for this, and it's not so guarded, it's not so tightly managed as an NBA game is. So if you're wanting to get up close and personal with the players, here it is.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. And it's and
we will have the links on the website. We will have the links on the website.
Yeah, cool. Okay, all right. Well, I guess Mark, we want to kind of round it up. Rowdy Ronda and Roddy Piper passed away at 61 of a heart attack. What an entertaining man! What a guy who. I do not say wrestling is a sport. I say wrestling has many athletes that are involved that perform, but it is not a sport, because sports, the ultimate definition of sports, has to contain, we don't know the outcome until it occurs. It can't be preordained. And that's how wrestling is. So but the athletic skills that are displayed and all those kind of things are real. And Roddy Piper was a groundbreaker. He was the bad guy, and he and Hulk Hogan had some of the most priceless entertainment moments that there ever were in their long time feud. By the way, but we want to say goodbye to Roddy Piper. By the way. I don't know if you can see this, Mark. Let me see how I can do this.
Okay.
Got it up there. I'll have to send you this file.
Okay.
This is some of the. We talk about this guy and that guy and whatever, and who does this and does that. we got Dr. J on here. We got Shirley Muldowney on her next to last run of her storied career. We got Greg Ray winning, holding a little kid from a Make-A-Wish, and his son, and he had the picture of his boy there. We got Layla Ali. We got Mike Tyson. Here's Hakeem Rockman and Floyd Mayweather with my kid, my son Tyler, George Foreman with my son Delaney, Benito Santiago with my son Jim. I'm so fortunate, Mark, to be able to do those kind of things. I had 3 sons, and I got to take each one of them with me to do something, and it is really cool to be able to do all the things that God has given me the ability, or the blessed me with, be able to see and to record and talk about and have fun and do things like we do on this show. One of the coolest, most awesome things I've seen is Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey is a good-looking. Not that she stands out as such here in Las Vegas or anywhere. She is I think most all women are beautiful women. Ronda Rousey has a judo background that no one that I know of has in mixed martial arts, and especially in the women's side. And it's going to take so long for someone to get to where Ronda is judo-wise. And as an old judoka, I'm telling you this, I guarantee you this is the truth. you can't advance. Judo is not a sport learned quickly. It is a sport that you start as a child, just like Canadians learn to skate. That they're always proud of that. I skated before I could walk. Okay, then they become good hockey players and good ice skaters and good dancers and good, whatever it is. When they're on the ice, they feel comfortable. Judoka, when they start so early, they're so proficient at the basics that it takes you X amount of time to learn and to practice. Nobody's going to be able to catch up with Ronda judo wise before she's done, before she quits. And that's the only answer to Ronda's. That's the only chink in her armor would be that somebody else can out judo her. Because as it now stands, people in mixed martial arts cannot use their striking to attack her because they are in incredible jeopardy of having something done to them judo wise, which is the absolute reason for judo. You're bigger than me. You come to do something to me. I respond with physics. And I do it in such a way that you give up. You can tap. We do the honorable thing. So Ronda does the honorable thing. She throws you on your ass and she bends your arm the wrong direction and you say stop. Now Ronda Rousey has added striking to her arsenal. And Ronda Rousey's striking is almost unfair. it's like,
I saw the video.
I don't know. Yeah, judo is a sport where it's the grappling part. It's the wrestling part of MMA. It's very similar. When they get down on the mat and there's that control and everything, judo has that too. There are two different disciplines of judo. They're both connected, and when you're a kid, they teach you both, but there's mat technique and there's standing technique. So you get both of those things. Now to think that Ronda's working on striking, she's not going to forget them other two things in judo. Now that she can hit you, how do you start an offense against Ronda without being in jeopardy? Now, not only are you in jeopardy of getting thrown on your ass and getting your arm twisted up like a pretzel, now she's going to break your jaw too. And we have both seen Cyborg. The last time I saw her, she fought a lady named Justine, and I'll think of her last name, down on Fremont Street, outside of the D. And the lady had come from France. Justine, I'll think of her last name, had come from France and took the fight on, I believe, 2 weeks' notice or thereabouts. Yes, whatever happened to Cyborg's opponent. And Christine knew that. Cyborg knew that this was not somebody that was ready to take her on. I mean, she is world class in the number of women in that weight class. Christine Cyborg is top notch. She's up there. She's not in Ronda Rousey's damn neighborhood. Ronda lives in a gated community, and she's at the front of the gate. And there's just no comparison. What Cyborg has to do to defeat Ronda means almost absolute, positive, certain defeat for her before she can complete her mission. It is really mission impossible. There's absolutely Misha Tate and Christine Cyborg could tag team, double team, do whatever they want, team to Ronda Rousey, and all they'd get for their trouble mark is a trip to the ER. They could share the ambulance ride, sure, and tip the driver on the way. That's all they would get. This is not we have not seen anybody so fundamentally change the sport. I don't believe. Tiger Woods certainly did a pretty good job of it with golf. Michael Jordan did a really good job of that with basketball to some extent. You run out of people pretty quickly, Mark. I don't know that Michael Phelps changed swimming. He dominated so much, but to actually fundamentally change. When Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was playing basketball at UCLA as Lou Alcindor, they outlawed the dunk. The NCAA, you could not dunk a basketball. That's where David Thompson and Monty Tao, North Carolina State, had the alley-oop. He'd throw the ball up there and you could catch it and let it go. And David Thompson was your height, if that much, Mark, and he could jump and get something up off the top of the backboard. David Thompson, they called him David Skywalker, and I played with the Denver Nuggets. But you get those people that change, Dr. J and Aaron, Connie Hawkins. There's always somebody before. There's been nobody before Ronda Rousey that has done this. She is the absolute fundamentally changing her sport. It's going to open the guys' eyes. One thing that the guys have that the women don't is that one punch knockout power that's available to even the lightweights. The gloves aren't as freaking padded, so when guys get hit, they get more of that concussion, that energy of that one punch than they do in the repetitiveness of punches in boxing. It takes generally takes so many, unless it's just a perfectly planted punch. In the MMA, it doesn't take as many. Then guys have that power, so that's the one thing that I think keeps it from being a totally judo-dominated sport, as it plays into the hands of judoka. And Ronda Rousey has exposed that part of the sport, and I don't think she's going to give it up anytime soon. And I don't think there's anybody that can catch up with her before she's gone, because they will have to be a real judo master with the Olympics coming up in 2016. Keep your eyes on the women's judo competition, because you're going to see somebody get on the real fast track to try. Not going to be somebody that comes from any. It's not going to be the women boxers. It's not going to be anything other than somebody that can deal with her judo and her jujitsu. So Ronda Rousey, absolutely a one of a kind, and to watch what she's doing and to think that she's added to that arsenal, Mark, is just scary. This is there's no coaching against that. There's no. Well, what do you tell someone? Pull a gun. when she ain't looking, I'll get her with this. I'll get her there with this Kurari blow dart. That's it. Your only shot. You got so anyway, and I think she's gonna. One of the things that I think is gonna hurry her exit before we leave, Mark. One of the things that I believe is gonna hurry her exit is what hurried Mike Tyson's demise, in that people are not going to pay out big money pay-per-view, and that's where the money comes from in MMA, is the pay-per-view stuff. They're not going to pay out the big money pay-per-view wise to watch a 1-minute fight. That's what happened to Mike Tyson. They want to see you beat the crap out of somebody. They don't want to see you just hit somebody one time and knock them out. They didn't get the joy of that. We want that extended BDSM moment. We want it to be like a full-length movie. And so people will get tired of shelling out 50 to $100 for 1 minute.
Yeah, but MMA as a sport is a very quick sport, though.
Yeah, it can be, but again, it's an entertainment thing, and people are not as entertained. Just you didn't care, and it's not like her division in particular is overflowing with talent.
Yes.
And to watch some tomato can get up there and get the crap knocked out of her is just going to lose its. Okay, I've seen that already. What else is on TV now? So I think that might be a limiting factor. I think we're going to see Ronda in movies. She got her start with Tough Enough, and as did Misha Tate. It's going to be, Misha's gone deep into the fight with Ronda a couple times. I don't know if that's completely out of respect or style. They say styles make fights, Mark, and that's but maybe third time's the charm. I don't know. I have not seen anything. Misha's not getting any younger. I don't see anything, and I certainly don't think Christine Cyborg is even in the realm of what can she do. I don't think she can lay a glove on Ronda Rousey or throw a punch. I mean, throw a kick that will not result in an immediate fight's over moment. So I guess we'll see. We'll find out. So anyway, Mark, is that it for you? But
that's
we're
it.
going to do
That's
Basketball USA, and we got photos to put up and stuff like that. So, all right. Well, folks, we do appreciate you listening. Hope you learned something. Bet the NFL right, and you'll make a few bucks.
Yeah.
Come check out our Olympic basketball team before they go to the Olympics next year in Rio. 364 days, man. I hope they clean the toilet there, the ocean off of Rio.
Yeah.
Doesn't it scare you a little bit that there's an allowable amount of excrement, human excrement that can be in the water, and it's still okay with someone? We did what? How about we have the people crap over there downstream or something? No, have a no crapping zone. That's what we need for the Olympics. That's what those 5 rings are, man. Those are toilet seats.
How much buddy. Were you bribed for this? Come on. GoodSportsMedia.com.
GoodSportsMedia.com. And we also want to thank Lars Larson, our guest. All right. For all of us here, for Mark Anthony, I'm Rick Rosen. Thanks for listening to Good Sports. We'll talk to you next week. Stay safe. Bye-bye.